Greetings and welcome back to my channel for another video. Give yourselves a round of applause for making it to and through another day, because as we know, each day is a blessing. This is a very sad story, and we are going to travel to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where a young woman by the name of Stasy Charles, 23 years old, was deleted by her 28-year-old boyfriend or ex-boyfriend, Steven Heinrich, as you see in the photo above, and I will show another one. Now, this is a very disturbing story, and it has a couple of layers to it. Number one, is the justice system failing our women of color, women, period? I want to say yes, because I've witnessed personally where a woman from Maryland years ago, and it's almost, now that I think about it, eerily similar, and that's the case, and I've spoken about it before, of Yvette Cade. Yvette, last name Cade, Cadae. You may want to Google that yourself, but the judge denied her pleas for protection, and her ex-husband ended up going to where she worked in Clinton, Maryland, dousing her with a flammable liquid, and you know what comes after that. Now, while Yvette Cade survived that brutal attack, she was disfigured for life. She's an advocate for DV. Unfortunately, even after that heinous act, that brutal act, and the insensitive comments made by the judge who is no longer on the bench, again, this case happened in Maryland. These stories are still taking place. So again, viewer and listener discretion advised. Thank you to my subscribers. Greetings to you. Thank you to my members. Thank you so much for all of your support. For those of you that may be new, greetings and welcome to you. And again, this is a very difficult story. We're hearing a lot of stories of DV, unfortunately. So again, viewer and listener discretion is advised. I know that I have people that are on the road sometimes listening. They may be out at work, and sometimes their work may be outside. So again, shout out to everyone who has been supportive on and offline. And one more thing, I don't know who it was, or it may have been a couple of people. I really don't know, because it was anonymous. But thank you to those who have so graciously donated to my lupus fundraiser. I want you to know that I saw that, and I thank you so much for your love. I truly appreciate that. So I wanted to make sure you knew that before I went on with that story. So again, thank you so very much. Now let's get right into this horrible story of Stasy Charles, again, 23 years old, and this is in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So as you can see, Stasy Charles, beautiful young woman, apparently had been going through some domestic related issues with her ex-boyfriend, Steven Heinrich Jr., 28 years old. Now, I have no details as to how this relationship began, but it is clear that there were some problems. So here's again another picture of this beautiful young woman whose life was cut short. Now, what's very difficult is it appears, it appears that Stasy Charles, again 23 years old, did the right things, but somehow, some way, it, it it did not help her situation. And I'm not going to say that it caused more difficulty or may have set Steven Heinrich off, but she filed the necessary paperwork. And on November the 5th, according to reports, and I always will implore you to conduct your own thorough, meticulous research, but according to reports, and if this is anything that is not accurate or something has been updated, please do not hesitate in letting me know. You have my contact information, and let me go ahead and put this on the screen really quickly, just in case. It's for another purpose, but there's contact information there. So, on November the 5th, according to reports, Steven Heinrich Jr. was arrested, but there was no jail time. The commissioner, Kimball, set a $2,500 bond and a restraining order. And from my research, sometimes restraining orders, depending upon the mindset of a person, and again, this is just from my observations, that may make them either back off or even more angry. So again, it appears she did the right thing, but 28-year-old Steven Heinrich Jr. was not held. There was no jail time, and as I mentioned, a $2,500 bond set by Commissioner Kimball. Now, this is where it gets a little bit ugly, and people are asking questions and holding the fire to the feet of a couple of people for the state. So the first one we're going to look at is Steve Danielson. Pictured right here. Steve Danielson, and the importance of Steve Danielson is he is the ADA there in that location of Louisiana. Okay, and get his picture up. Okay, Steve Danielson. Now, according to reports, he did not request the 313, nor was a request for a higher bond made, nor a request for an ankle monitor. And according to reports and law, these requests could have resulted in, number one, a 72-hour hold and the revelation of any prior criminal history or issues as it related to Steven Heinrich Jr. Next person who was on the hot seat is the district attorney, Hiller Moore, who again, the state's office, if you ask were certain things they're to be provided. Now, it appears from comments that I've read and the way certain things are postured that the commissioner, who was an African American woman, Commissioner Kimball, again set a $2,500 bond and a restraining order. But as I mentioned, no 313 and no request for a higher bond and no ankle monitor to keep this man away from Stasy Charles. So let's look at the 313 in Louisiana really quickly. And again, thank you to those that are tuning in. If you would be so kind, would you please give this a thumbs up and any comments you may have. In Louisiana, a 313 refers to a contradictory bail hearing under Article 313 of the Louisiana Code of Criminal Procedure, also known as Gwen's Law. This hearing is specifically for defendants charged with certain serious offenses, primarily those involving domestic abuse, stalking, or a felony using a weapon against a family or household member. Now, sadly, on November the 13th, it is being reported that Steven Heinrich Jr., 28 years old, who was on a restraining order, ambushed is the word that they're using, 23-year-old Stasy Charles at her apartment complex, where he subsequently unalived her. And upon fleeing, he ended up setting himself, I'll just say, ablaze. And according to reports, on Friday, the very next day, he succumbed to his injuries. Now, again, these two gentlemen right here, Steve Danielson and Hilar Moore, because they did not request certain pieces of information, they did not know that Steven Heinrich Jr., 28, had a previous issue dealing with another woman and multiple issues. Had the 313 hearing have been requested and his background revealed, he may have received jail time, and Stasy Charles may be still with us. So I'm going to look at a couple of comments because there are people, unfortunately, and let me just say this. You cannot choose, well, let me back up. You cannot tell someone who their preference should be. And there are people that have made some comments about her preference as to a mate. And there are people that have stated that she had made some disparaging Unfortunately, in these times of heinous crimes, just senseless crimes, there are people that will make insensitive comments. So here's one here. Lately, they have been running to white men. And you can read that on your own, and then you see other people saying sad. Again, there's another slide I want to put up really quickly if I can. I have tons of files, so give me a moment, because I think this one is really important. And here is the second one. And hopefully everyone will be able to see this. Judges, commissioners set bonds. As I said, DA's office didn't have his full criminal history at that hearing. And I say it's unclear why not, because they have access to the same database that the BRPD does. But they'll tell Commissioner Kimball that he has been arrested for violating a protective order in the past. She still decided to go with a low bond. So again, there are a lot of finger pointing going on. But at the end of the day, in the grand scheme of things, 23-year-old Stasy Charles lost her life after filing for a protective order against her ex-boyfriend, 28-year-old Steven Heinrich Jr. Again, she passed away on the 13th of November, and according to reports, he later succumbed to his injuries on the following Friday. May Stasy rest in peace, and being human, may the soul of Steven Heinrich also rest, because there must have been some type of demonic, satanic force that allowed this to happen. I have always been a proponent that I believe, just as I believe that there are angels that work through people, I believe that the adversary can also work through people. Again, we have to hold these individuals who sit behind commissioners' desks, who sit as our DAs and ADAs and judges as well, accountable for when the system seemingly fails those that seek help when they feel, when they know that their very existence is in jeopardy. Thank you so much for tuning in, and until next video, bye-bye for now.